The minute I did that, I could feel, and I knew it was a lady. I felt something shoot out of this mirror and it shot right through my chest, through my heart. And he was standing behind me. He said he felt something shoot through him as well. In my readings, spirit will take me, um, to the point of whenever they're traumatized, and a lot of times we'll either uh, get soul fragments that have broken off, or I can help them with some inner child work, or else if they have attachments, we can cross them over. But that hasn't really happened. I usually would go to with groups of people, and we might go to various haunted places and send souls over that way. But it never really came up too much in readings. It was more the soul fragments. So I found that to be a little interesting. And then right after that, the very next evening, I had several reads, and I've written it down just so I can kind of get it in order. I had several readings, but the last reading was a lady who told me that she struggled with depression her entire life. And she had to be at least my age. I didn't really ask her, but I could tell she wasn't in her 30s. And I'm like, okay, so we're doing the reading. I had no idea where the read was going to go. And Spirit took me back, and I said, okay, I'm drawn to like 6 or 8 years old. There was some trauma there. And then, after a while of doing the read, it came up that her mother had a doll, or she had a doll, and her mother burnt the doll, and she was traumatized. And she had to really be traumatized because, like I say, this had to be 50 or 60 years ago, and she could remember it perfectly. I didn't realize, but instantly I knew that this lady had an attachment on her left shoulder blade. And I'm like, you have a spirit that is attached to you. And I knew it was a family member, and it felt like a man. And as we were talking, the lady started out with the doll. This doll had a lot to do with it, because when her mother burnt that doll, it was like this gentleman's spirit was inside this doll, and they will do that a lot of times. They'll attach to dolls because they have arms and legs, and they're like a human. So when they did that, I could see this spirit. They took me back there in time, but I could see where the spirit attached to her. And she's like, well, I don't know. Nothing really comes to mind. And I'm like, okay, well, I did a process with her. I said, let's get this entity, let's try to send this to the light, because it's not doing him any good to be hanging on your shoulder or around you. And it's not obviously doing her any good. So we went through this process, and I could hear her guides say, it's going to take a couple, 2 or 3 weeks for her to really feel like the energy is lifted and she's not depressed all the time. So I thought, okay, so we did the process. And the minute we did that, on my left shoulder, in the back on the shoulder blade, it felt like somebody just took a big chunk out of my back. And I said, I feel like that he's pulled away because it's on the left shoulder. He must have been hanging out right there. And we get cold chills. When I get cold chills in a reading, that's spirit's way of confirming what I'm doing or what I'm saying is correct. And she was getting them as well. So I said, okay, keep me posted and let me know how you feel. Text me in the next couple of days or whatnot. So the next morning I got up, and I can talk freely because I'm not using her name. Next morning I got up, and I was thinking about that read because it really kind of stuck with me, even though I'd done several, but sometimes they'll stick. The minute I was thinking of her, she texted me, and she said, I just woke up and I knew, or else she had a dream or something. She said that it was a family member. I think she said it was like her stepfather or something but he was in the war, and I knew this gentleman was in a war. She said he was in the war, and he got shrapnel in his back left shoulder blade, and then he died 3 days later, and he was sad because he was young. He was only like 26 at the time. And she just knew in her heart that this was who was on her shoulder. So that was very, very interesting. So that was the first thing that kind of came up. And then, let's see, what else did I write down here? Oh, and then a friend of mine, I was talking with a friend of mine, and she was talking about how she went to this guy in Kentucky. We live in Indiana. She went to this guy in Kentucky, and he takes entities or souls or attachments off of people. And I thought, and she knew nothing about what was going on with me. And I thought, man, that is really interesting. I would love to go to him. And not that I feel like I have an attachment, but there's something about, I would kind of like to see how he does it. Not that I'm going to snatch his modality or the way he does it, but there's something there that spirit wants me to see. So we're going to do that at the end of October. And so she may be, if I like it and I think it's really worthwhile, that we may have her on the show to talk about it, because very interesting. And honestly, if you ask me, a lot of people have attachments. It doesn't always have to be a dead person. To me, thoughts can build up energy, and those, to me, I consider attachments too. So spirit is working with me, and we're going to start to really get in and work with things like this. So keep going. Now, again, this all happened with all last week. So then I had another lady call me, and I've read for this lady before, and she's very down to earth. She's not real flighty. Some people are anything you say. She's not like that. She's very level-headed. I remember starting out the read and saying, I'm very drawn to the activity in your bedroom. Like, there's a lot of spirit activity. And she kept going, Well, one thing led to another. And I don't know, Bobby, if you want to show the handprint now. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now this is blown up, but she gave me permission to use this on the show. Now, if you look up at the top right, it's kind of hard to see. This picture really doesn't give it justice. It looks just like a skeleton hand. And she said, nobody has touched my headboard. And I'm like, the minute I saw that, I thought, okay. It reminded me of this. And Bobby, can you put up the picture of, yeah, this was many years ago. And if you can see a skeleton hand in the bottom left coming up towards me, I was on a ghost hunt with my sister and another guy. I don't know who else was there, but we were in this barn. And it was so hot in this barn. I thought I was going to faint. I just can't take the heat. It had to be 100 degrees. And all of a sudden, on my back, I felt like somebody was blowing an air conditioner right on me. But of course, there was no air conditioning there, but it was that hand. Now, this is when I first started out, so I had no idea about crossing souls over. I wish I did, because I gotta tell you, it's as if this hand is reaching out to me like, help me. I kind of got cold chills when I said that. So with that being said, and that's a skeleton hand. So then, and this is all going through my mind the minute I saw that headboard. So then I had a friend of mine who had moved into a house, in his house, and he's like, I got a lot of spirits and stuff going on. Can you come here and kind of cleanse my house? And I'm like, sure. And so then he proceeded to tell me that he goes, this is the strangest thing. And I didn't ask him if I could say this, but again, I'm not saying his name. And again, this was many years ago. In his bathroom, he had a full-length mirror, the kind that you kind of just put on your door. Or it might have been there, I can't remember. But anyway, he said every time he would get out of the shower and it would fog up, he would see a handprint on this mirror. And he thought his kids were doing it. He told me he asked his kids, hey, you know, why do you keep touching this mirror for? Because he said he'd Windex it off real good. And every single time he'd come out of the shower and it would fog up, he would see this handprint. So went in the bathroom, I had my little sage, and he was standing behind me. And I remember this perfect. I lit the sage, and it wasn't hardly smoking at all. And in my mind, I thought, oh, this isn't gonna work. And I just went ahead and did it. And I'm like, okay, anything in here, you need to come out now, because I call in the Archangel Raphael or Archangel Michael. And I blow the smoke in the mirror and I say, come out now, you have to come with me. You have a lot of loved ones. Archangel Michael will tell you where you need to go. The minute I did that, I could feel, and I knew it was a lady. I felt something shoot out of this mirror and it shot right through my chest, through my heart. And he was standing behind me. He said he felt something shoot through him as well. And so then I proceeded to go through his house, cleanse it, and I always open a door and say, okay, now go on. Archangel Michael will tell you where you need to go. He told me right after that handprint was never on that mirror again. So just a little sidebar, if people out there who are going to be saging your home, make sure that you do all of the mirrors. Even mirrors that you have in your drawers or your little compact mirrors. I always like to blow smoke, the sage in the mirrors and say, come out now, come on. I don't know the rhyme and reason. I don't know why spirits get trapped in mirrors, but I have seen this time and time again. And you're doing them a service if you do this, because every time I do, I can feel they want to come out, but I guess they just need the sage to open it. I'm not quite for sure. I'll have to investigate more of that. So with those two things being said, going back to the lady with the headboard. Now, I knew that there was not a spirit trapped in her headboard. I knew that it was attached, something had attached to her. She also told me throughout the reading, we knew that prior to that, one of her grandchildren was in the hospital for several weeks, and she went up to see the child a lot. Hospitals are notorious to pick up entities. I mean, think about it. People who go there are sick, so then their auras are not sealed. People who go to visit them are sad or depressed or anxious, and the nurses and doctors, they're around all this all the time. So many of my readings, I get readings from doctors or nurses that they just are out of sorts, and it can be from their job. But so anyway, kind of got sidetracked there. So she went and picked up an entity, and she said that she was, ever since then, she didn't know what happened. She felt off kilter, and she'd have these horrible, weird dreams every single night. So during the reading, I picked up that she picked up a hitchhiker from the hospital. I could tell it was a girl in her 20s who had OD'd. And she was scared to go to the light because, she killed herself. And a lot of people think, oh, I can't go there because I'm going to go to hell or whatever. And then they'll stick around. And this lady I was reading for is very intuitive and very open. And I just felt like the spirit wanted to be around her because she felt safe. So here, I walked her through doing this procedure, but I also, trying to get this soul to go to the other side. But I told her that sometimes all of the soul might not go. Maybe a little piece of it or some of it might stay on her. And I said, showed her how to do it. And I said, do this again, maybe a couple of times, and let me know. Text me, let me know how it went. She just texted me, I think it was today or yesterday, I can't remember. And she said that she did the procedure that I told her, and it was yesterday, because she said she did not have any dreams last night and she slept good.